Now we are moving ahead with our technology presentation. We have a technology presentation by Sushim Mukherjee, who is SPS Lead Enterprise at Dell Technologies. This technology presentation is on creating value in a digital world, the role of emerging technology. I would like to take a couple of minutes to introduce Sushim. Sushim is an industry professional with 20 years of experience, having worked with some of the marquee IT companies like Digital, Sun Microsystem, and Hitachi Data Center, and has been propagating the storage domain messaging itself for a decade now. He has been with Dell Technologies for the last 3 years, and as an enterprise lead in the storage platforms and solution team, he will give you a perspective on hybrid cloud, especially with regard to your data capital. Indeed, a very important aspect. And I'd like to invite Mr. Sushim Mukherjee, SPS Lead Enterprise Dell Technologies, to present his talk. Welcome, Sushim Mukherjee. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share one of the perspectives that Dell Technologies has on the role of emerging technologies with regards to creating value in this digital world, especially in these unprecedented times. So we'll briefly touch upon a few areas, beginning with the emerging technology landscape, the tenets of hybrid cloud, our take on the workload profiles, and an introduction to an exciting new generation platform that we have recently unveiled. So getting started, as is being seen all around, technology is really changing every industry. We see traditional industries like agriculture and farming using edge devices and drones for smart farming with big data to help optimize their yields and livestock. Retail and financial services companies are moving increasingly sophisticated services online and making them mobile friendly to better understand and engage with their customers securely and from anywhere. Now, with the global economy going digital, it's critical that the organizations transform to meet this growing need. IDC alone estimates 60% of the global GDP will be digital by 2022. This means that, for the physical goods, 60% of the revenue in the value chain will be derived via these digital means. Competitive advantage, therefore, will increase by a result of the insights derived from data and the software that really drives the digital experience in a multi-cloud world. Now let's look at the key pillars of the emerging technologies. What has become pretty clear from our discussions is that the deployment and use of emerging technologies will be critical in the next decade. These will be powered by the edge computing and a multi-cloud strategy. On its own, each technology has the potential to spark major changes. In combination, they will redefine how the organizations build and deploy software, how they modernize and simplify their infrastructure, how they really inspire their workforce and secure their most critical assets, especially in the days of work from home. Right? Data has become the foundation of everything around us. As a result, the emerging technologies, if you look at the left-hand side from the emerging technologies, the journey of these organizations, no matter which industry or location, it's dependent upon the ability to really do the three things, which is drive new efficiencies so that the organization can become more agile and efficient, take the tsunami of the data and actually use the power of the organization, use it to really power the organizations, and generate value from that data to uncover new opportunities to either make or save money. And it all begins starting from the edge to really unlock that. Look at the emerging landscape, emerging technology landscape. Together, these technologies cover a company's needs from real-time market insights to data-driven business intelligence to scalable technology solutions. Let's take a brief look at the capabilities of each that it demonstrates why the digital organizations are really choosing to invest in these areas. Beginning with the edge. The edge is really the starting point. The edge will transform how the people, machines interact with the digital services by acting on data which is closer to the source. The edge has the potential to really enable entirely new experiences, enhance efficiency, and improve the control in the business. Right? When it comes to IoT, by interconnecting the digital sensors and the devices in the physical world, IoT transforms the material things into streams of data, allowing people to really sense and interact with the objects in entirely new ways and accelerate the pace of the innovation which we see around us, right? The next is the next generation connectivity that we are seeing with the advent of 5G, which is expected to really enable ultra low latency response times and support the real time connectivity. 5G will really offer broadband speeds of up to 20 Gbps and the ability to really support over 1,000 more devices per meter as compared to what it could do when we had just the 4G. Right. The anticipated benefits from this include faster video downloads, near instantaneous response times to web browsing, and easy transfers of large quantities of data. Right. AI doing rapid progress, transforming the new and existing data through the analytics and machine learning. With more than about $5 billion of venture capital investment over the last 2 years, AI is really poised to have a very transformative effect on the consumer, enterprise, and the government markets all around the world, right? And this is rightly put so by PwC. Uh, the last is the cornerstone of digital leadership, which is a clear and defined multi-cloud strategy that every organization really needs to strive at. It needs to really have a roadmap which is needed, and just bear in mind that it is never a one size that fits all. So it has to be very, very unique to your own organizations, your own business models, and that's where we really unlock the new value from your data. Now, when it comes to really cloud, in terms of that cloud approach, we firmly believe at Dell Technologies that the cloud is not a destination, but more of an operating model. Also, that it is no longer a conversation of either a public or a private cloud, but more the strategic use of both the hybrid cloud, right? Therefore, it's important to really note the three physical laws that will impact this digital multi-cloud world of ours, beginning with the laws of physics, the laws of economics, and the laws of land. With the laws of physics, we look at the data gravity. So with the humongous volumes of data, it is a wise strategy for compute power to really gravitate towards the source of the data, which is the edge locations we just spoke about. In laws of economics, we see that the consumption economics versus capital heavy investments have really trade-offs. And depending on the usage profiles, consumption based can also become quite cost prohibitive over a period of time, right? And lastly, we are very, very conscious of the laws of the land, compliance, data sovereignty, and that add a real new wrinkle to this cloud. As the organizations and the governments have become more data savvy, the requirements to really protect it have become that much more advanced. That means that data which could really flow freely across borders or be exposed might now, by legal decree, be that much more constrained, right? The implications of really getting it wrong can be quite severe, and as such must be a deep consideration when making decisions on where the workloads really reside, right? It is all about the landing zones of the data, which we are going to discuss a little more in detail. But the narrative that the data centers are really going away has proven to be pretty false. 92% of the respondents to ESG research's hybrid cloud tipping point analysis indicated that their cloud strategies were inclusive of having on-prem data centers. Also, what we saw, 83% of the organizations value the consistency of infrastructure from their data center right to the public clouds. And furthermore, they found that about 77% of the respondents have really pulled some workloads back on premises, popularly being referred to as cloud repatriation. Now, this isn't to say really that the public cloud is not working. It is only that the organizations are rather realizing that certain businesses and application requirements can create that dynamic where the workload is best suited probably to be on-prem at times, right? And for this reason, the organizations must really start thinking about cloud as an operating model, because when you just think about it as a place, that means that any workload not in a public cloud fails to benefit from those attributes of your all important data, right? And where really does this data emanate from, right? It's from the increasing multitude of other applications. Now, we at Dell Technologies know some of these applications very well. We are specialists in some of them, and also some that we really do not understand and that much about, right? But the problem, however, was not only the growing number of applications, the volume, the velocity, the pace at which they were coming into our businesses, but also the changing nature of data itself, right? That is involved in these applications, which is becoming increasingly disparate, diverse, and distributed. Now, our job is to be those workload specialists, right? Whilst we don't understand all the applications very well, what we really do understand incredibly well is the workload profiles and its characteristics that they generate, right? Now, what we can then create is a smaller number of application profiles, right? Or characteristics that say a smaller set of buckets, to say so, which gives us an opportunity to really consolidate some of these applications into these buckets, right? Into these buckets which we consolidate, and then let's look at this workload profile being superimposed on what we really call the grid, right? Which is for the four IT operating models. On the left side of this grid, you see that we have the physical and the virtual worlds, right? On the left side, they are typically associated with enabling the IT to construct infra, and the operations are more change process driven. When we're looking on the right hand side, we see more of an as a service model, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, now being more popularly referred to as container as a service, which are more cloud like, right? Which enables you to really consume infra vis-a-vis constructing it. It enables you to really have a self-service model, fully automated with a chargeback mechanism around it. And as IT, your challenge becomes really to how do you really rebalance your workloads and resources across all these four operating models, wherein we have started realizing that there are three workload optimizations that we really need to think through when we try to do this, right? On the leftmost side, you see certain workload types like your mainframe specialized vertical apps such as EMR. These are always going to remain physical, right, and remain on-prem. What we really want to do with these workloads is help you modernize them by increasing the efficiencies in the process, reducing the cost associated with it. Your high-end, high-demand workloads, which are usually your Oracle, SAPs, and SQLs of the world, may be really virtualized today. But to truly move to the infrastructure as a service mode, you need to add that element of automation around that, right? And finally, your emerging apps, which are designed to really launch those new services or drive the AI or IoT processes we referred to, are probably being developed in that DevOps environment where you are really trying to optimize this for the most critical business agility that we are seeking from, right? And for each of these, what you really need then is the right infrastructure solutions that can meet your business SLAs back into your businesses, right? And let me enumerate, how we really did this for a couple of customers of ours when it comes to Seagate, and look at how we have done the same thing for Santander in the IAS and and the past kind of environments, right? Beginning with SIGE, which is a money transfer services organization operating in around 130 countries across Latin America and Mexico. Now, because the customer really couldn't operate fast enough, given their on-prem infrastructure, which was consisting of a sort of a storage zoo, with all vendors really participating from time to time, they began to really start looking at moving into AWS, right? But within less than 3 years, what they really realized was they were ending up spending $90,000 per month, growing rapidly at the rate of 50% year on year, right? Which was quite unsustainable for them to look forward to. So what the customer did is engaged with Dell Technologies SPS team and discussed the ability to really implement an on-prem cloud-like operating model with highly automated HCI technology and complete the consolidation of their environment, which would save them millions. Through a meticulous business value assessment, which is a very mature tool that we use, we measured every metric associated with the customer's business on an as-is basis. We then compared it with the solution which we proposed and showed a whopping 1,245% ROI and a $16.8 million in net benefits through our proposal around VxRail. The solution really comprised of the industry's fastest growing hyperconverged solution, which is VxRail, combined with VMware's licensing, all centrally managed through our VxRail manager interface, which is a GUI very similar to what vCenter offered, thus helping customer reduce the time to market for their business altogether, right? The second reference point is, what we did with Santander Consumer. Now, it's a car finance company, part of the Santander banking group, known quite for their respectful banking. When Santander really wanted to reduce the data center footprint and leverage the software-defined storage as a means of deriving an agile and cloud-like experience, they opted for Dell Technologies' PowerFlex solution. Now, what the PowerFlex operating system really provided Santander was with a highly scalable, flexible, and resilient platform. Now, the Flex OS was able to really reduce their database batch processing time from 7 hour 23 minutes down to 3 hour 50 minutes, and guarantee that that mission critical business intelligence is available at the start of each business day for them. Now, due to the many to many rebuild operation which is inherent in the Flex operating system architecture, an entire node of 25 terabyte was rebuilt and reprotected in just under an hour during the testing, which easily exceeded the bank's resiliency success criteria. Now, when they tried to do this on some competitive platforms, they failed quite miserably, and it took much longer time. This project obviously is therefore the first of many that Santander really embarked on and continued on that journey to have that as a infrastructure standardization on a single platform that could handle all of their block workloads which they carry, right? I hope these two examples really gave you a view into how we are using our technologies. But please remember that at the end of the day, it is how you understand the workload diversity that your specific environment really has. By using the Encompass tool, we analyzed over 250 accounts with 1 million VMs. What we really found was that, on an average, the 80-20 rule really kicked in, right? Where you had 80% of the VMs which are associated with these general purpose workloads, which are compute, CPU intensive. These are, that general purpose virtual apps that can be fully automated, software defined, and provide a massively scalable an environment that could work very nicely with VMware for a consistent operations control plane. These 80% of the VMs were using just about 50% of the storage, which is a classical fit for an HCI platform like what we provide in our VxRail platform, and we discussed that in the SIGE example. What we really then see that the remainder of the VMs, which is the 20% of it, really consume the balance 50% of the storage, right? So you notice that a very small amount of VMs are really utilizing a disproportionate amount of the infrastructure resources, right? And that is where they are trying to consume those storage intensive workloads, which are specialized, high value, mission critical virtualized apps that require a classical 3-tier architecture, and that's what is the right fitment. What we really try to do there is optimize it for the simplicity and automation as much as possible. We also, out of that scope, have the virtual environment where the physical workloads could also seamlessly tie into this, and then obviously the file and object workloads, especially emanating from your unstructured data sets, also fit into this 3-tier architecture. So finally, it is a kind of a classification into the right infrastructure architecture. That is what is most important for you to really look at. And I'll just pause here to for you to really take a nice look at this particular workload diversity slide, which really pans out from the left side to the right side and ensures that it is a conversation of and, where you're looking at an HCI as well as a 3-tier architecture. It is never an either or kind of conversation which we believe in, and hence you really need to put the right set of workloads into the right category, right? With that as a backdrop, let me tell you that how the prevalent use cases have really helped us evolve, and let me introduce to you how Dell Technologies is now redefining the storage industry with the release of their next generation platform, which is PowerStore. In the interest of time, let me do a quick 3x3 summary where the PowerStore platform is best explained by the 3 pillars that you see here: data centric, intelligent, and adaptable. Let's take a closer look at what each of these really means, right? Now, the platform is data centric. We can consolidate any particular workload from unified standpoint, whether it is block, file, or vvols. We scale up by adding the capacity, and we also scale out by adding the controllers. Now, this is designed for 6 nines of availability. With the active end-to-end NVMe controllers, next-gen media of solid-state drives, and storage class memory, this platform is very much capable of addressing performance asks emanating not only from your traditional workloads, but also those new age application environments, right? Even compared to our own previous generation Unity XT platform, this is 7 times faster with about 3 times lesser latency. Right? We deliver all of this with the most cost effective, most efficient, effective capacity envelope due to the latest quick assist technology, which is built in onto the controllers. You really do not need to worry about the impact that it will have on your production IOs, and yet do an inline data reduction with intelligent dedupe and compression, thereby delivering a 4:1 data reduction guarantee on this particular platform. When you look at the second pillar, which is where we look at the intelligence element which PowerStore has, why do we say so? It's programmable, which is API enabled. We can automate the storage provisioning processes, whether to integrate your VMware capabilities like VRO, VRA, to address those Ansible playbooks, or really creating those container-based integrations for your Kubernetes deployments, right? This allows us to deploy the system with far fewer manual steps, less risk, and thus deploy the resources in seconds, which really used to take days in time, in the past, right? It's also pretty autonomous. That allows the discovery of new appliances automatically to a cluster via the machine learning algorithm, which is inbuilt. Again, it ensures that the maximum utilization that takes 99% less time administrating the PowerStore. Now, with native integration into our Cloud IQ tool, we can then do proactive health analytics to help reduce and plan risks, and then plan ahead, right? The inbuilt health scores, accessible even on your smartphone devices as an app, provides a very comprehensive system snapshot on operational status, available storage, and gives those performance alerts which are very critical. You would then have a very actionable analysis and planning data at your fingertips all the time, and all coming to a single pane of glass. This then allows you to really spot issues 16x faster than platforms that would really not have this capability to begin with. And lastly, this platform is very, very adaptable, right? We ensure that the data migrations to get this to this platform are that much more automated, simple, and seamless. We package it with the flexible consumption models like Dell Tech on Demand or pay-per-use with our Flex on Demand offering in conjunction with our Dell Financial Services. Please discuss this with the teams whenever you are embarking on a new project. We're looking at the backend of how we are really backing this with the industry's most complete future-proof program, and we also ensure that you can then seamlessly keep modernizing this infrastructure without a forklift upgrade going into the future at all, right? But what I'm most excited about this technology is its flexible architecture, right, with a unique flexible deployment methodology. Now, the beauty of the PowerStore operating system is that this being an absolute grounds-up containable technology, it introduces a very unique concept of an apps on hypervisor deployment methodology that allows the ESXi to be run directly on the storage controllers, thus making it very ideal for those data-intensive demanding workloads. Very similar to what you can do for an HCI environment, but specifically for your data-intensive workloads. So what we do here is just to take you to, again, back to the edge conversation. We begin at the edge locations, right? You can start thinking about those regional medical centers, remote manufacturing plants and facilities. Now you can innovatively run analytics locally on the different types of data like RFID tracking, medical telemetry, metadata collation from oil and gas rigs, and so on and so forth, and yet end up saving about 70% of your rack space, right? Now it doesn't stop there, because what we could then extend this is go into the core data center by doing a native data replication from the edge to the core. And once inside the data center, we could now move those data sets for further massaging of the data to environments that need more scalable compute like your VxRail HCI platforms, or you could also use your existing ESXi farms in conjunction with your storage deployments which you would have, or deploy additional sets of storage, right? And then start looking at how you leverage technologies like VMware Cloud Foundation in creating those workload domains, adding those landing zones, thereby giving customers a full automation workflow and allowing them to pick and choose where their application needs to live for the time they need to, and all in a very, very absolutely non-disruptive manner. And because we have the ESXi already integrated into your application landscape via the apps on facility, which I discussed about, you're looking at how you can then transition this entire thing to a public cloud of your choice. So in the true sense, really achieve what you want to do from an edge to a core to a completely multi-cloud journey in a very, very seamless manner, right? So I'm just trying to tie back this particular new technology innovation to the conversation of how we are looking at a multi-cloud journey for your entire data sets, going across this in a very, very seamless manner. This then, is the real benefit of this particular platform, which is truly a next generation storage platform, very, very futuristic looking. Our friends in the industry are really trying to catch up with many of these elements. I would strongly urge that you please have your teams align with our teams to have that 1 hour critical conversation with our customer solution center, where we could really do a demo to take you through this in a little more detail. With that, let me end this session, and thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sushil Mukherjee, SPS Lead Enterprise at Dell Technologies, for this presentation on creating value in digital world, the role of emerging technologies. I thank everyone. I hope the delegates who are watching us live must have liked this presentation. And I would like to mention this, that if you want to get in touch with Mr. Sushil Mukherjee, you may please write to Elets Technomedia Private Limited. You can get in touch with any of the team member at the banking and finance team, and we would love to connect you with Sushim. Thank you so much, Sushim, for this wonderful talk. Now we are breaking here for a networking break, and I would encourage everyone again to visit the expo area. We have some of the wonderful companies exhibiting in the exhibition area, and I'll request everyone to please visit the expo area and understand what kind of technologies, solutions are there in the exhibition area for the entire BFSI sector. Thank you so much.